Welcome to another episode of the Optimistic Met Fan Podcast. I am your host, Frank Arsberger, and on this show today, I'm going to do a little bit something different. So I just recorded an episode that was my regular type of episode that I do. It was my review of June, and I spoke a little bit about how the Mets could fix it and some other stuff. Now I'm going to switch the script a little bit. Something that I think I'm going to do probably once a month when the Mets update their prospect list. So every team has a top 30 prospect list, and the Mets are no different. But very excited about a lot of these young guys, especially down at AAA, and was even very excited about talking about A-ball. So down in Brooklyn, and even Double A in Binghamton. So gonna kind of start with the lower level and go all the way to Triple A, but just wanted to maybe talk about some guys that some of you guys don't know or aren't household names. And the Mets have a lot of depth in their farm system. Very impressive prospects that are getting promoted, and also really pushing to maybe get promotions soon at some of the other levels and even on the team now. So there could be some guys in AAA or AA that are doing so well that they might actually make things interesting in the second half and might get a surprise call up. Who knows? I know last year we had a guy who got hurt, who showed a little bit of promise as a starting pitcher, Christian Scott. He suffering from Tommy John, so he will be back next year. So that's a little bit intriguing to go along with a lot of these other guys that are making the jump to maybe the Mets. So really exciting. So we're going to start off with A-ball and down in Brooklyn. So a gentleman who's a third base prospect at trade, but he does play a little bit of short. Playing most of his games at third. Jesus Baez of the Brooklyn Cyclones. This is a guy that is the number 7 prospect on the Mets right now. So the Mets very high on Jesus Baez. Jesus Baez, to me, is a very interesting prospect because I could see him, and I'll go through his numbers in a minute, but he's a guy that I could see being trade bait for someone else, a guy that you can throw in a package to get what you actually need. Because let's face it, I mean, do we really want to wait for the third baseman in the future for another couple of seasons? I don't. But, very impressive numbers. I actually think his stock is really up right now, and that's a good thing. That's why I wanted to bring him to your attention if you Met fans didn't know about him. Really impressive prospect down in Brooklyn. I hope I get to see him play before he gets promoted to Double A. So we'll see. I live here in Brooklyn, born and raised. So I should really start taking advantage of that, right? Because I missed out on another prospect that I'm going to talk about in a couple of minutes. But so he has a 283 batting average, 388 on base percentage, a 417 slug, which is really impressive, 4 home runs, 25 RBIs, 5 doubles, 21 runs scored, and also has 36 hits so far. Doing really well. His estimated arrival, they're saying, is 2027. And that's if everything goes well. And, that's just an estimated time of arrival. Some of these guys could have great years and just skyrocket through the system, kind of like Brandon Sproat did. But yeah, Jesus Baez is definitely a very exciting prospect. I just don't see him being on this team as a future Met. I really view him as someone who the Mets could throw in a deal, like I said, but we'll see. Um, Jesus Baez, if you live in the Brooklyn area, go check out the Cyclones and check him out. He's a really exciting prospect. Another guy in Brooklyn, this guy's a pitcher, so he was the second pick in last year's draft. David Stern's first draft with the Mets. Jonathan Santucci, a left-handed pitcher. Started off the year pretty rough, but he's the 11th prospect on the top 30. So they're pretty high on him early on. Did struggle a little bit, like I said. So some of these numbers are going to look a little modest, but a 4-4 record right now with a 3.7 ERA. And that ERA was up. I mean, it was in the sixes at one point. So really steady ERA for a young rookie in 11 starts. So that's not too bad. 56 innings pitched, 23 earned runs, 19 walks. So that's a little bit, high for 56 innings, but working on his control. Does have 58 strikeouts, though. So I do like that. And it's intriguing for a lefty, He's a young guy, college arm, but, this is a guy that if he could continue to develop his pitches, his secondary pitches, could be a guy that we could see in a year or two. So really have high hopes for Jonathan Santucci. Very excited about him. With that being said, the estimated arrival for him was set at 2027 as well. And that's because he's probably behind all these other guys that I'm going to get to. But, very impressive lefty down in Brooklyn. So, again, a lot of really good prospects coming up through the Mets system and really starting to shine and, go in the upper ranks. So, really nice to see those two guys doing so well. The next guy on my list is down in Double A, so I'm going to hit Double A now. A guy who I think could be an impact arm, and that's Jonah Tong, a right-handed pitcher playing for the Binghamton Rumble Ponies down in the Mets Farms Double A system. He's the number 4 prospect, so doing really well. 6 wins and 3 losses, but the most impressive thing is his ERA and his strikeouts, which is incredible. Has a 1.75 ERA in 13 starts, has 67 innings pitched, 13 earned runs, which is wild, and then has 107 strikeouts and 30 walks. And his estimated time of arrival for the Mets, they're saying, is going to be sometime next season. And I think that's probably right, because halfway through this season, he's still in Double A. Mets are kind of taking it slow with him as far as promoting him to Triple A. But like I said, very impactful arm, Jonah Tong. So I know that the Mets are very high on him. I think a lot of Mets fans should be excited about this guy. If I had to compare him to somebody from Major League Baseball, he kind of reminds me of Tim Lincecum with the way he throws. Has that kind of weird delivery. Small guy too, so definitely reminds me of Tim Lincecum, and that could be actually a good thing if he ends up being like Tim Lincecum, because he was pretty nasty back in the day there. So Jonah Tong, definitely a guy that I could see coming up, maybe for a call up in September if they bring him up to AAA at some point in the next couple of months, or he could be a guy that could be one of our starters next season, as early as next season. And it all depends on what happens in the off season. But I can definitely see him being one of those guys that are in the discussion during spring training next season. So very excited for Jonah Tong. Next prospect I want to talk about is our number 1 prospect, and that's Jett Williams. This guy's the total package, in my opinion. 5-tool player. finally growing into his power, but has a 313 batting average. And this is the most impressive. Has a OPS over 900. So he has a on base percentage of 425 and a slug of 509, which uh, is pretty awesome. I'm very excited about Jet Williams. He does have 13 steals, so showing off his speed when he does get on base, which he does at a really good clip, as you can see with that 900 OPS. Has 10 doubles, 3 triples, only 2 home runs. Because, like I said, he's growing into his power. He's a 21-year-old. 9 RBIs in the leadoff spot, has 20 walks, and 26 runs scored. And they're saying he can be an impact arm this season. So, not arm, position player. Sorry. Yeah, he could be definitely an impact guy. Could be our answer in center field. Could be an answer at second base, as he's played some second base. He is a natural shortstop, but he has the athletic ability that you could pretty much put him anywhere, and I think he'll shine. Again, Jet Williams, superstar potential. Obviously, with these prospects, you do want to, ease in to the level of expectation, but I think, any Met fan should be excited about Jet Williams. I know I am. So, and, he does have that type of attitude that I think New York's going to love because um, in an interview, they said last season, what are your expectations? And he says, we're getting a call up this season. And this was last year when the Mets had that incredible season. So, but then he got hit with some injuries. So, now he's finally healthy and we can see the potential with those stats. Those are pretty impressive stats. So, Jet Williams, future of the New York Mets, the number 1 prospect of the top 30. The next guy I wanted to talk about in Double A was a guy who recently got promoted to Double A. So all these stats are from when he was in Brooklyn. And this was that guy that I told you that I was disappointed in not getting to see. Just couldn't get down there. But that is our number 1 draft pick from last season, Carson Bench, an outfielder. Another guy that I could see being the future center fielder for the New York Mets. Definitely going to be competing for that with Jet Williams, I think. But Carson Bench had a 296 batting average in Brooklyn, had 432 on base percentage, 472 slug. Didn't really have a lot of good power numbers. Did have 13 doubles and 3 triples. Only had 1 home run and 18 RBIs, but did have 11 steals and 25 runs and 37 hits so far down in Brooklyn the first couple of months. But the thing with the home runs that I think Met fans that don't know down in Coney Island, right field for lefty hitters, it's very hard to hit a home run because of the wind that comes off the beach. So very tough place to hit for power. But again, you can see it didn't really stop him from having a really good, impressive start to his career in Brooklyn with that 296 batting average and all those doubles and triples. So definitely impressive. Yeah, and I could see him being that type of center fielder that could be a really good piece to this team. So really good to see him get the call up to Double A. Very excited. Um, and if him and Jet Williams keep playing like this, they're going to be the first 2 position players that I think could make a real impact on this team because Mets are very high on these guys. And, with the mix of all the other young guys the Mets have, I think this team's going to be very young and very competitive for a very long time. So it's really nice to see Carson Bench make that jump. And the last guy in Double A I wanted to talk about was Carson Bench is the number 3 prospect, by the way, on the top 30 list before I go to my next guy. So another guy that's very high on the Mets list, very high in their philosophy and where they want to go. Next guy on the list, I'm going to drop down to number 16, only because I wanted to talk about this guy. Very under the radar prospect that the Mets have. Nick Morabito, an outfielder in Double A, um, has a 339 batting average right now with a 423 slug uh, and a 455 on base. Not a home run guy, more of a line drive hitter, but has 13 doubles and definitely shows off his speed. Has 25 RBIs, but has 16 stolen bases, only been caught twice. So really impressive. 19 runs scored on 38 hits. He's really an underrated prospect in the sense that he didn't have the immediate upside like a Jet Williams or a Carson Bench, but Nick Morabito could be one of these speed guys for the New York Mets, top that lineup, or even in the bottom. Really a good guy to put in there, speed guy. And that's something that this Mets team needs. So, really interesting piece. He's probably going to be the third guy in the pecking order as far as who I think could be a center fielder for the New York Mets, as these other prospects that I mentioned before. I think they have more of a head start or a advantage to be the first choice. But don't sleep on this young guy, Nick Morabito. Very impressive speedy guy, speedy outfielder. Really impressive stuff from Nick Morabito. Now I'm going to jump to AAA. I got two guys that I wanted to talk about. First is Nolan McLean, right-handed pitcher playing for Syracuse right now. He's another guy that could be up at some point soon. Really turning heads down in AAA. Was dominating in AA the start of this season and just carried it over. Has figured out AAA. Um, in my opinion, even though Brandon Sproat is still the number one guy as far as pitchers because of his reputation and how fast he jumped to AAA, still hasn't figured out AAA. But Nolan McLean, I'm just going to read you some of his numbers here. Is 5-4, but I don't really care about the record. It's the ERA and the strikeouts that get me, and the innings pitched. 2.19 ERA in 11 starts, 70 innings pitched. So that's really impressive. 17 earned runs, 71 strikeouts, 31 walks. Walks are a little high, but liking everything else. This guy's figuring it out. AAA. He's, definitely an impact arm. I could see him coming up pretty soon, especially with the Mets pitching problems being, one of those guys that they choose to maybe give an opportunity to. And even sooner than Brandon Sproat. That's just my immediate opinion of the pecking order, in my opinion, of who should get called up first out of these group of guys. Really should be Nolan McLean. He's just been dominating down there. I know right now the Mets have Blade Tidwell as the guy getting a lot of these opportunities right now. I see him more of a bullpen arm, Tidwell, but Nolan McLean looks like the real deal. And looks like he could be in the Mets rotation for years to come. So has a wicked sweeper and a really good fastball too to complement that off-speed stuff. So really, really impressive pitching prospect, number 5 on the Mets list. So obviously they're very high on him in their top 30. And then I wanted to talk about my last guy on today's quick episode, but kind of a prospect that got lost in the shuffle a little bit. And that's Drew Gilbert, an outfielder in Syracuse. He was a guy competing also for the center field job, but wanted to bring him up because he's kind of having a back and forth season right now. Was another guy like Jet Williams who was injured last year and really didn't have a good season last season because of all the injuries, but now fully healthy. And this is a guy that does everything well. but to me, it just doesn't stand out as everybody else. And, has a 225 average, has a 317 on base, 387 slug. So not terrible. Batting average, I would like to see be a little bit higher. But it does have 4 home runs, does have 25 RBIs, 9 doubles, a triple, 32 hits, and 19 runs scored. So, he looks like he could be serviceable, but I think he's probably going to project as a number 4 outfielder. I don't see him being a starter. I see him being one of these guys that could be a really nice outfielder for you, could be a really nice piece, but definitely falling down the list just because I don't really see him being an impact prospect. I see him being a good piece, kind of like a Jeff McNeil, kind of like one of those guys that's not the superstar prospect, but definitely could be a serviceable piece to a major league team. So we'll see if the Mets keep him. Um, again, with prospects, you never know. Um, I read off all these stats and they look really great and they sound really great. And you get excited about prospects, but the truth is, prospects are a dime a dozen, right? You get so many guys that come through your system. Some guys make it, some guys don't. And the brutal truth is that, out of the guys I just read, maybe all of them make it on the team, but I can see some of them not. I can see some of them maybe being trade bait to get, where you want to go. If you really are going for a world championship and you want that huge piece at the deadline, I could see 1 or 2 of these guys going in a trade. I could even see some of the guys on the major league team that are young guys being tradable. So we'll see. I mean, very exciting though that the Mets at every level seem to be developing very quickly. I like how David Stearns is pushing these guys once he feels they should be challenged. And then you see, right? Speaking of being challenged, that's the situation like with Sproat and McLean, right? Sproat right now has hit a wall at AAA, is getting better his last couple of starts, so we'll see. But, he always has a start weight, then he doesn't look so great. Nolan McLean seems to be, the one piece that everybody keeps talking about. So, at least from the pitching perspective. And also Tong has skyrocketed up too. So, again, some of these guys could be really good impact pieces, like I said. But, we'll see. Again, very excited about the Mets farm systems. Can't wait to go to some minor league baseball games. Can't wait to see these guys become New York Mets and help us get to that championship level quality team that we all want to see. So, with that said, hope you guys enjoyed this new segment of the podcast. I'm going to be doing one of these episodes, like I said, once a month. So please hit that like and subscribe button. You can also follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I appreciate all you guys on there. Follow me, and all your comments are very appreciative. And, I want to give you guys some good content. So, besides this type of episode, please, in the comments, give me your episode ideas. If you'd like to do a Q&A episode, or maybe another list of some sorts, maybe like a top 10 list, you know, let me know. And I'd love to grow this channel for you guys. You follow me also, the full episodes of this podcast on YouTube as well at Optimistic Met Fan. So that is it for today's show. Very excited about these prospects, and let's have a good July. Okay. Happy 4th in advance. Will not be getting back on until after I get back from my vacation with my family. So really excited about that. And that's it. So, like always, have a great week, and let's go Mets. I will see you next time. Take care.